Mr. Investor, welcome back to the channel, baby. Please remember, none of this is financial advice, it's for entertainment only. So doing some DD, I wanted to follow up into one of Bionanogenomics' customers. I wanted to see what they were utilizing the machine for. If you go to reporter.nih, National Institute of Health.gov, you'll be able to search for some projects. So I was searching for optical genome mapping, and here I found a project leader, Mark T.W. Ebbett. The name of this project, you guys may already know, is using long-range technologies as a multi-omic approach to understand Alzheimer's disease in brain tissue. These guys said they seek to contribute to long-term goals by helping identify specific molecular modifications and therefore specific mechanisms driving disease using long-range optical DNA mapping and sequencing technologies. The main aim of the game and the long-term goal was to help develop a meaningful therapeutic and pre-symptomatic diagnostic for Alzheimer's disease, because they stated while disease-altering therapeutic is essential, it will not be sufficient without a diagnostic that identifies the disease before the symptoms onset. So their main concern was utilizing the Sapphire machine and these sequencing machines and try to create this kind of screening tool. Our group seeks to develop a pre-symptomatic disease diagnostic. In a few of our most recent videos, we were talking about ALS, we were talking about this kind of Joe Biden funding that's coming into play with $100 million per year coming into play to understand ALS, right, to research and develop therapeutics. Now in 2019, Mayo Clinic adopted the Sapphire machine for applications in these kinds of neurodegenerative diseases such as ALS, Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So what they found was Dr. Ebbett demonstrated that Sapphire was able to capture and measure the full length of the C9orf72 repeat expansion that causes ALS. Not only that, in those Alzheimer's disease samples, Sapphire was able to measure the number of repeat domains in CR1, which is a top Alzheimer's disease gene. This gene cannot be properly analyzed with short-read sequencing. Back in 2019 this was. And even then, Dr. Ebbett was stating that Sapphire gives them unparalleled molecule lengths with deep coverage at an affordable price for clinical labs and large cohorts. We are excited to use Sapphire on a much larger population to help solve some of the scientific questions in neurodegenerative disease, with the hope of developing not only a meaningful therapeutic but a pre-symptomatic disease diagnostic. So coming into screening, if they're able to use Sapphire as a tool to get pre-symptomatic disease diagnosis, if Mark Ebbett does find this possible to do this, to utilize the Sapphire machine and other long-read sequencing machines and develop this kind of pre-symptomatic diagnostic tool, then there could be some serious consumable money coming in the future if that's what people are utilizing the Sapphire for. So now I wanted to follow up. I wanted to see his recent advances and I wanted to see how he's coming along with utilizing the Sapphire. So I was scrolling down his Twitter, Mr. Mark T.W. Ebbett, and we got to this picture of him. If we come to open the article, you'll see this news that the University of Kentucky has posted that the Sanders Brown Center on Aging receives $14.5 million to continue Alzheimer's disease research and outreach. You'll see none other than Dr. Mark Ebbett, and remember this article is released just in August 2021. You'll see him experimenting using the Oxford Nanopore Prometheon. It seems to follow the trend of Oxford Nanopore and Bionanogenomics being utilized for a lot of projects together, including for plant structural variation detection. On a previous video I posted as well, there was a customer from Queen Mary's University of London stating that Sapphire and Oxford Nanopore Prometheon are perfect partners. So now with top scientists in the world looking to create this kind of pre-symptomatic diagnostic tool, they're getting awarded, they're getting the money. You can see some of that grant money, $14.5 million to research and develop this tool. Then could we be seeing a lot of consumable money coming in the future if they're successful in creating this? So I went to Mark Ebbett's website. There's a website called ebbettlab.com, and we wanted to take a look at his current research. So if you scroll down, you'll see he has certain machines that he's listed here and certain approaches. He said he has a wet lab and a dry lab. And in the wet lab, this includes Bionanogenomics, PacBio, and Oxford Nanopore technologies. Currently, what they're working on is ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, and Alzheimer's disease. In terms of Alzheimer's disease, they'd really want to develop this pre-symptomatic disease diagnostic because unlike other diseases, the body can't heal from neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's disease. Once the symptoms onset, it's too late. In fact, in terms of one of the first grants that they received, when the project date started in 2020 in September, the project was set to end in 2025. So they're trying to develop this by 2025. And the National Institute on Aging gave them a total funding of $636,000 when this project first popped up. They must have had some initial success because they've secured more funding now. And that funding, that $14.5 million was specifically for Alzheimer's. But with President Joe Biden and the Senate approving and signing accelerating access to critical therapies, it's called ACT, for ALS. This is making $100 million available per year between 2022 and 2026. Some of you guys may be thinking, dementia, Alzheimer's, what is the difference? Dementia is kind of like an umbrella term. So dementia is a general term for a decline in mental ability severe enough to interfere with your daily life. And Alzheimer's is the most common cause of dementia. So Alzheimer's is a specific disease. Dementia is kind of the umbrella term. Now, in terms of Alzheimer's, look how prolific it is. 60 to 80% of dementia cases, the umbrella term, is caused by Alzheimer's, which is the specific brain disease. If we then go to Alzheimer's Disease International, alzint.org, we can see some facts surrounding dementia. So if we take a look at the statistics, let's look worldwide. Someone in the world develops dementia every 3 seconds. There are over 55 million people worldwide living with dementia. This was in 2020, the statistic. The number is set to almost double every 20 years. So 78 million people in 2030, and they're predicting 139 million people with dementia in 2050. Now, much of these increases will be in developing countries. Already 60% of people with dementia live in low and middle income countries. But by 2050, this will rise to 71%. The fastest growth in the elderly population is taking place in China, India, and their South Asian and West Pacific neighbors. So if we look at the worldwide costs, dementia, you can see here it's growing in number. This is the prediction that they have: 55 million 2019, 78 million 2030, 2050, 139 million. Every 3 seconds, someone developing dementia. The costs to the world is 1.3 trillion US dollars. This is current, but they're estimating that by 2030, it will be 2.8 trillion dollars. Now, in order to access, if they were to use, the Sapphire and develop this pre-symptomatic diagnostic tool, in order to access these countries where there's going to be such a boom in dementia, the way that we can access these countries is by bringing the cost down per consumable. So currently the cost per consumable is $500 a pop, or $450 if you have a deal. In order to make it affordable and use it as a screening tool, we have to bring the costs right the way down. Maybe $100 a pop, like they said in the future, is what they're aiming for. It says here there's over 10 million new cases of dementia each year worldwide. And if we look at 60 to 80%, if we say and estimate that, 60 to 80% of all dementia cases are Alzheimer's related, so this specific brain disease, then that means there is 6 to 8 million new cases of dementia each year worldwide. And remember, when someone develops dementia, say it runs in the family, say, there's a specific gene causing dementia or Alzheimer's, the CR1 gene that they're looking for. I don't know in terms of tools what they'll be targeting and how they'll locate, which gene is basically stating that you're going to develop it. Maybe it might be the CR1 top Alzheimer's disease gene. But say, for example, 6 to 8 million new cases, but you'll have to use it as a screening tool to also look at other people, look at their family line, look at people who are likely or at risk of developing, Alzheimer's. On the grand scale of things, say there's 6 to 8 million people potentially that you could screen. These are new cases, right? But your screening will probably be much larger. At $100 a pop, say if you screen 10 million people a year, at $100 a pop, you're generating $1 billion just from this one disease, from just dementia, from screening for Alzheimer's. From this one disease, you're generating $1 billion a year in consumable revenue. Now remember, this is implying best case scenario. This is implying that we can bring the cost down to meet, the cost for China, India, and South Asian and West Pacific neighbors, as well as stating, that we secured the whole market. But what's interesting to look at is just what scientists are utilizing the Sapphire system for, and how they're trying to develop these pre-symptomatic diagnostic screening tools. Because, if they're doing this for Alzheimer's, what other diseases are they going to screen for? If we're using this also in cancer screening and we become gold standards, and they're using us for, blood cancer screening, for example, there's a market right there. If we're also being utilized in, say, for example, diabetes, if scientists are trying to use this as a screening tool or develop their own screening tool or diagnostic tool, for example, before the symptoms come in, say that you have this screening test, you're trying to detect for potential health disorders or diseases in people who don't have any disease. So the goal is early detection. This is a definition from John Hopkins. And there's been studies, they're trying to plan to use and create a kind of menu. So we have newborn screening, we have this prenatal screening. And this is something coming into play in places like the UK, where they want to look at newborn screening. There's a public dialogue about it, and they want to put funding behind this. This document is called the Clinical Genome Analysis Evidence Review 2020. This is the final document for NHS Scotland, looking at clinical genome analysis. Within this document, you'll be able to find bio-nanogenomics being spoke about as a complementary technology. They spoke about it alongside 10x Genomics and Illumina, and briefly covered optical genome mapping. And in 2020, they were stating what the BioNano Sapphire system can do, and they were saying the use of it in terms of diagnosis for hematological cancers, comparing its functionality proportionality and peer reviews. So they were saying there needs to be more peer reviews, but currently the studies generally suggest concordance of results with the normal standards. So the sapphire could become the gold standard in terms of hematological cancers and cytogenetics, and it can replace the current cytogenetic techniques such as karyotyping fish and southern blotting. I also want to bring us back in time to this article on October 27th, 2020. It was talking about bionanogenomic sapphire and the presentations at ASHG. This is the American Society of Human Genetics. So back in 2020, this is what Eric Holman has said, that the scientific importance and quality of the studies utilizing sapphire and presenting at ASHG have increased year over year. As more scientists present and publish their important discoveries made with the sapphire, an increasing number of potential future users become aware of its prowess in uncovering novel genetic variants that contribute to both cancer and genetic disease. This could drive more adoption and utilization for basic genetic research and clinical studies alike. Now finally, I bring you back to the symposium, January 10th to the 13th. We're going to have these bionanogenomics customers talking about topics like constitutional cytogenomics, hematological malignancies, blood cancers, solid tumors, and the use of optical genome mapping alongside next generation sequencing. You have a lot of speakers, a lot of customers here from different universities, from different laboratories around the world, and they're adding more as we speak. And it's very interesting to see what they've been getting up to utilizing the sapphire system and what they think of it so far. So we've got a lot of customers here that are going to be talking, and it's going to be interesting to see their point of view. This is including some people that are looking to replace their workflow and have adopted the sapphire for that purpose. We've got the director here of the Cancer Cytogenetics Laboratory, and this was at the University Health Network in Toronto. Remember, this is kind of like a group of hospitals. Finally, let's take a look at what the haters say. There's a guy from Seeking Alpha who is a bear, who really doesn't like sapphire system. He doesn't like the stock. And so this guy writing articles about it, he's talking about the total market for sapphire here, stating that the addressable market is one for each cytogenetics lab, 2,500, and 1-to-1 with a sequencer like Illumina, 6,000 gene sequencers Illumina has on the market, he's stating. And this article was written a while back, right? Some of the points that he's addressing, I just wanted to take a look at too. One of them was about the costs for sapphire, and he was stating that people don't really save much. Well, we're looking to bring the cost down, and if we are able to bring it down to $100 a pop, this is going to be significant saving, and it's going to allow us access to other markets in third world or developing countries that will be able to utilize the sapphire. If we are able to get 8,500 sapphires out into the world, I don't know how this guy done his maths, but he was stating that the annual consumable revenue, $150,000 per instrument. He said that the fair value of BNGO ranges between $20 to $30 per share. This article was written by him early on in the year in 2021, before the biodiscovery acquisition. So I would love to see an updated article, another bear article from him, to see what he believes bionanogenomics is going to be worth in the space in a best case scenario. But since we've moved into this kind of genome analysis, we've now been able to open up and work with people that are complementary to us, that need the services of next generation sequencing genome analysis. People that are current customers are like Invitae, Perkinelmer. And for example, if scientists using the sapphire system are able to create this kind of pre-symptomatic screening tool using the sapphire system, some of the big boy clients could adopt the sapphire system, or we could work in collaboration with them to develop their own LDTs to help with diagnostics, to help with screening. For example, Perkinelmer is using whole genome optical mapping for FSHD, developing their own tests utilizing the sapphire system, whole genome optical mapping, to accurately detect FSHD causing contractions in the D4Z4 region. So they're utilizing the sapphire machine, developing their own tests. They'll be utilizing, the machine using consumables in order to help with diagnosis. So they probably set their own pricing. The consumable costs will take a little chunk out of that, and they'll make this nice profit on top. I currently have 1,800 shares and in my opinion, this is not financial advice, it's for entertainment only. In my opinion, there's so much potential still for this company and what it could develop and become. Not only being able to run genome analysis and embed optical genome mapping data into it, but people utilizing the sapphire machine, developing their own tests, and if they're able to utilize the sapphire as a pre-screening tool in terms of newborn screening or diseases like Alzheimer's, for example, then there's potentially consumable revenue coming for years to come if they hit big. Now please remember, none of this is financial advice, it's for entertainment only. I hope you enjoyed the video. Drop me your thoughts and feelings, tell me what you're thinking, tell me if I'm right, tell me if I'm wrong, tell me your perspective. I would love to hear from you. Thank you guys so much, and please hit the like button. If you're able to support the channel, you can click join channel memberships, or you can drop me a donation in the PayPal link below. Thank you so much for watching the videos. And I've currently been suffering from some long COVID symptoms. I've only had COVID for like, what, 9 days? But since I've had C19, the last couple days, I've been having this kind of brain fog. I don't know if it's with all variants or something, but I've been having kind of memory loss and brain fog for short-term memory. It's really strange. And I've been so frustrated because I've been wanting to make videos, but I've just felt so blocked up in the brain. So I'm going to continue trying to just recover, continue to make videos as well, and show you whatever I can find. I wish you guys all the best. Please remember, none of this is financial advice. It's for entertainment only. And I'm going to catch you in the next video. Mr. Invest a Lot, over and out, baby.